Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Dugout podcast, episode 99, the penultimate episode of the century, the penultimate episode of the Scottish football season. Obviously, got the Scottish Cup next weekend, which we will have an episode for. We will also have a hope to be live reaction, but we don't have the confirmed release time of the Scotland squad yet, and that'll be coming tomorrow as we're recording this. And I am, as always, joined by my usual co-host Alexander Cruikshanks to go over mostly the one of the biggest matches in probably recent Scottish football history, but we will cover all of the other games that happened at the weekend and all the scorelines and all the various stories. How are you, Alex?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Another season in the bank, and Celtic have done it again. Just I saw before we actually jumped on here. Actually, I saw like you know how that those like table trackers they do, and they go like from match day one, and it goes along and it shows you who's where, and it was so interesting. I don't think Celtic were top for any week for the entire season, and then obviously they do it on the last day in spectacular fashion. So yeah, it's what a dramatic season, and Celtic have won five on the trot now, and I think they've shown that their experience and of winning titles, even in a poor campaign for them, has uh, has come up trumps in the end.
Yeah, it is, and we'll get right into it. And like you said, it was crazy that the fact that, and probably even more painful for Hearts, the fact that they led the league for over 250 days. Celtic
They
hadn't,
did.
or
They did.
anyone, it.
They did. They took Arsenal's sort of blueprint and brought it to the max. Um,
Yeah.
so
Well, it might not be Arsenal's blueprint this season, though. I think they're going to bring it home. They
maybe
should anyway with the last two games they've got, uh, and obviously a Champions League final for them as well. And yes, I, I think no team outside of Hearts was top of the league since September, and I think
Rangers
Celtic.
were top for a day.
Yeah, Rangers were top for a day, also joined by a few other teams, including Livingston, who were top for a day. I remember that right at the start of the season, because obviously their first league win of two came right at the second game of the season, wasn't it? Or was it the first game of the? No, it was the second game of the season, I think. Um, so yeah, crazy season, and it's been an excellent season. I think the best from a football and entertainment point of view that we've both witnessed, and a little bit of a sour end in some ways. Obviously, the fairy tale of Hearts winning the league doesn't come through, and some of the other issues which we'll get onto. But we'll just start with this game, and as I said, probably the biggest game in Scottish football for decades. The last time two Scottish Premiership title contenders battled it out on the last day of the season was when Rangers beat Aberdeen at home in 1991 to win the league. Obviously, Aberdeen a few years previous were the last team to outside of um, Rangers and Celtic to have won the league, and I think this was the closest we probably came since then, unless I'm forgetting any time. And another ending which was absolutely crazy, which involved Hearts, was in 1964-65, which Laurie will be very happy to hear because Kilmarnock beat Hearts 2-0 at Rugby Park. I think it was at Rugby Park, but Kilmarnock won the league that year. And crazily enough, had Kilmarnock won the game 3-1 instead of 2-0, then Hearts would have won the league on goal average. What do you think about that stat, Alex?
Yeah, some of the old rules were a bit dodgy. So yeah, but fair play to Kelly. I'm sure that'll be the only time they'll ever win silverware for the next 300 years. I mean,
Oh,
I mean, I
not
mean,
very nice.
I mean, league silverware, unless it's the championship, which they will not be in. Um,
Yeah.
so good for them. And but yeah, no, that is a bit of an interesting stat. 1991 Rangers Aberdeen as well. I think my dad was actually at that game. and he's told me he remembers. I think when Rangers scored, this was when it was like standing sections, and it was so crowded that he actually got lifted off his feet. Um, and like moved. His feet got taken out from underneath him when the goal went in. I think it was might have been Mark Hateley that scored, and he got carried all over the place. I'm sure there was similar bedlam at Celtic Park as well, with people getting dragged all over the shop. Obviously, uh, hopefully there was no injuries, because there might be, there's often some accidental injuries in these cases. But it's just a great moment for things like that, and I'm sure everyone enjoyed themselves over the weekend. I hope safely and responsibly, although Scottish football fans have a way of not doing that. So
Yeah, I think we've seen the scenes that we usually expect when it comes to this time of the season, following Celtic being crowned champions at the stadium. Unfortunately, but I think these things you can't get away from.
Celtic fans
And
love a wee pitch invasion, don't they? I feel like they do it every week.
yeah, they do.
Uh,
They do. Obviously, back to back games, twice in the space of a week. In fact, although I think the one at Fir Park was a lot more organised, and if you want to say that, and better, a better spectacle, so to say. I thought the team line-up, especially from Hearts and Derek McInnes, was pretty interesting in this game. Obviously, leaving out the PFA Scotland Player of the Season, Claudio Braga, on the bench in favour of BL Andre Cabore. Celtic's team wasn't very interesting. No changes from the game at Fir Park, and you wouldn't have expected any. What did you make of Cabore getting the nod, Alex? It was a bit of a strange one.
um, I initially, but when you saw it in practice, I thought this is why he's in the team. I mean, he was pretty good. I thought Pierre-Andre Cabore's hold up, he's running in the channels. He did cause Celtic some problems, and a lot of the time it was him and Shanklin just up there themselves trying to make something happen. So yeah, I thought it did make sense when I saw it in practice from Derek McInnes. And yeah, I thought Kabore did quite well. But I feel like don't know, the pragmatic approach was, I think, the wrong approach, because I feel like Hearts just invited pressure for the game, and I think we've seen it with this Celtic side. If they're given the opportunity to pile pressure on, eventually they will break through, and they did do that in the 80th minute or something through Dyson Maeda. So I think overall the game plan was wrong from Derek McInnes, although they did take the lead. Celtic perhaps got a bit lucky. Clear penalty before the just before half time, a few minutes after the Hearts goal. But I feel like if maybe they'd gone in 1-0 down, it would have been maybe a different story for this Celtic team. But they got the penalty, and I feel like that is a massive turning point in the game. Arne Engels dispatches it underneath Alexander Swallow, who will feel maybe could have done a bit better with that. It's a painful watch and I'm sure if he sees it back, he's probably thinking, "Oh, that could have been crucial." But it's a massive moment for Celtic just before the half, and McInnes didn't really change anything game plan wise, and I think that is part of the reason why Celtic did win.
I'm going to say, Alex, I completely disagree with you on the point of Derek McInnes. I thought in the first half, the second half maybe a little bit different, but in the first half, I thought the way Hearts set up was the way they should have set up. And I thought they were, barring that, as you said, fortunate penalty. No disagreement on the fact that it is a penalty, like the one in the week. Unfortunately for Kazridis, he's sliding, and Kieran Tierney, I think it was, it cross hits off his arm. You just can't complain. And we like to say that they shouldn't be given, but unfortunately, under the laws of the game, then it's always going to get given. And I don't think Celtic really looked like scoring in the first half. Apart from that, they had all the ball. Hearts never looked like scoring either, though. It was a very cagey game, not much between the two teams. Hearts not pressing a lot and
Really
allowing,
scrappy as well. People just snapping into challenges and a lot of aggression from both teams. Um,
yeah, and yeah, and
so
I was just going to say, I think it was an excellent ploy from Derek McInnes in terms of he allowed Celtic, he squeezed the game up in terms of Hearts were playing a really high line, but they weren't pressing the Celtic central defenders a lot. As soon as it went anywhere but Liam Scales or Austin Trusty, they were on it. They were man marking. I don't think rarely any Celtic players got the chance to face the Hearts goal and go forward. And I think it was one point in the first half where Austin Trusty had I think it was 36 touches he had, and the next player in the game with the second most was Liam Scales, who had 18. So it shows that, like the game at the other fixture at Celtic Park early in the season, where Hearts obviously won 2-1 when Wilfred Nancy was in charge, they just sort of pressed the other players and allowed Austin Trusty to have the ball on the right side of the defence. Of course, it was in a back three under Nancy, but the same principle, and he's not the best. He's not as good as Liam Scales as a progressive passing and bringing the ball out. And I thought that was excellent. And
you,
Kabori was a big part of that.
you let me rephrase my point then. I feel like he got it wrong when it went one each into half time and he didn't change anything. Because I agree with you there. Looking back, the plan was working in the first half. They obviously go 1-0 up, but I feel like at one each, you need to change something because then Celtic have the confidence and they were better in the second half. I didn't think much better, but they were better and they continued to have the ball. They continued to, keep on it. And I feel like if McInnes had done something, I don't know, just perhaps made them gone a bit more aggressive or I feel like maybe it might have gone differently. I don't have a crystal ball. But I feel like they just, invited Celtic on in that second half.
Yeah, they did. And the thing I gave them praise for the high line and the pressing the Celtic players outside of the central defenders. It was gone in the second half. It just wasn't the same effect, and maybe that's fatigue of playing that way and giving up. I think 65% possession in the first half. That eventually you just can't always play like that. But I do think give credit to Martin O'Neill, the sub he makes at half time to bring Kelechi and Acho on because Sebastian Teke was, as we've seen in some of these games, largely ineffective off the left hand side. It obviously puts Daizen out there. I thought Kelechi and Acho was excellent. I thought actually all of the Celtic substitutes really played their part, and that was maybe the difference. And it was a strange one because Derek McInnes obviously makes the sub right at the start of the second half when he brings Frankie Kent on for Jordi Altena to obviously get that physical presence to go up against Kelechi and Acho. And he did that. He was man marking him, but he couldn't really get near to the Nigerian striker just off how well he was playing. You wonder, do you not think Derek McInnes might have got that intel that Martin O'Neill was going to make the sub at half time? Usually you get a feeling or you see the player going into the dressing room. It was a bit strange that he never knew he was going to make that sub until after half time, and then he uses one of these sub windows, which unfortunately with the Benny Berengame injury, minutes later, he's already used up two and then he's only got one left, which probably really to Hearts' detriment at the end that they don't get it that extra sub window to throw in extra players at the end and really go for it to get an equalising goal, which would have, of course, won them the league.
Yeah, I thought it was strange when I saw him getting brought on so early. It didn't really occur to me that he was doing that to deal with Kalechi and Acho. That's a keen insight there, Ethan. I hadn't really thought of that. For some reason, I thought it was because your Tenya was carrying something because he'd been battered around a little bit in the first half. He'd come through a few collisions. He'd done a bit of battering himself, mind you, but he'd been in a few rough challenges, and I thought maybe he'd come on to give the second half a go, and then they're thinking, oh, he's not looking great. But no, I think that Kelechi Iheanacho shout makes sense. However, if that was the issue, though, that goes back to the other your main question: why is he not just subbed him off half time if he was doubtful? As well as an injury risk also. So why risk it and risk using one of your windows?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an
But
interesting question.
yeah, but in the same sort of breath that we say all this, he's not expected Barry Beningame to get a what looks like a really serious, unfortunately, hamstring injury minutes after, where he has to use another sub and such a key player for Hearts in the game, and a key player for Hearts in general, of course.
I thought Beningame was really good in the first half as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, he was. He was one of the standouts. I thought the two fullbacks were really good as well. Limited Celtic's wing play to very little. I thought Kieran Tierney looked the most threatening for Celtic. The runs he made. I also trusted did find him a few times. That's obviously where the penalty comes from. Stephen Kingsley put in a great ball as well for the goal, which we never really even mentioned, the Lawrence Shanklin goal. And Celtic were leaving him, I think, too open for a player of his quality in previous attacks. And Hearts didn't really look too threatening from opening play. Like I said with Rangers, it was more set pieces, and that's been one of Hearts' strengths this season. But to leave Lawrence Shanklin free at the back post was criminal, and an excellent header and goal from him. And at that point, I did think Hearts were going to do enough because they just seemed up for the challenge, and it was a very professional first half approach. But as I think we touched on, that penalty at the end of the first half changes everything. And then Celtic made more changes. I think the first one was, James Forrest. Obviously, Blair Spittle came on for Benny Beningame.
Can I just
Not the same player.
can I just say something about James Forrest? I mean, I thought he was finished 2, 3 years ago, even. But this season has been a bit of a renaissance for him. He's showed that he can be a big contributor and be really impactful, even if he's coming off the bench in cameos. He has started a few games and played well also. But I think the question for James Forrest is just managing him properly now, and in his age. I mean, because I feel like maybe when people thought he was finished, he'd had a few injuries. It was difficult for him to start games. Obviously, he can't get match fitness if he's just coming on for the last 10 minutes all the time. But this season, I think he's been used extremely well, and he's certainly proved me wrong. He's been really impactful in a number of games, and he's shown he can still perform at this level, just not as often as before. But he can still have an impact.
Yeah, and he's always been someone that's split opinion amongst the Celtic support, never mind to the further away of Scottish football. And I think he's just been, I know he's not been always been the starting winger for Celtic or been the best player at the club, but he's just very reliable. And he looks obviously at this age still to be playing at this level. He must look after himself, and he's what he's really good at is keeping the ball. He doesn't give the ball away a lot for a winger, and Yang, who's been excellent recently, didn't have his best game. I think that's probably because of how well the Hearts fullbacks played, and I think that was
Also,
a
Yang
good
as
sub.
well. Every time he picked up the ball on that side, there was someone in front of him, and he tried to cut inside, and there was two guys in front of him, and he just couldn't. He couldn't do what he normally does, which is he's really. I think he's. I think something that maybe is understated about Yang, just because of his previous reputation, I think still lingers over him. He's a really intelligent ball carrier. I think I've certainly noticed more often. But when he can't really do that, I think he struggles for a bit of ingenuity, a bit of creativity to get out of these situations, because he does love picking up that ball and running. But when he can't move through as he normally does, I think the options become limited for him.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. That's a good point. And his runs, especially infield at points, are excellent. Obviously, the goal against Rangers in the derby was an excellent goal, but he's done that across the season. And then we do get to the point where McInnes rolls the dice on his final substitution window, and I thought he was going to make all three subs because there would have been tired legs out there for the Jambos, and he just had to get bodies on to support the final push. And obviously, at that point, they're still trying to hold on to, which, well, it was a draw in the game, obviously, but a lead in terms of the title race. And takes off Kazridis, Milne, and Kabore, brings on Braga, Chesnikov, and a bit of a left of field one that I think was that Alan Forrest comes on, and obviously goes and stands alongside his brother on that far side. And yeah, a great moment for one side of the family. But
interestingly enough, I thought of those three substitutes, Braga was the worst.
yeah,
I thought Chesnikov and Forrest were actually all right. I mean, Chesnikov has some great play down the right hand side. He slides it across and unfortunately goes into the gloves of Sinisalo, or it's cleared. I can't really remember. But he has some terrific play. Alan Forrest was involved in some moments in the box as well. I don't really remember anything from Braga during his time on the pitch. So I think those other two substitutes did have more of an impact than the PFA Player of the Year.
yeah, and that's that. And as you said, with the Chesnikov move, right off the bench, his first set of touches, he goes on an excellent run down the right and almost leads to a Hearts goal. But after that, it was becoming more and more Celtic dominant. They started to playing the ball about better. There was more space opening up in wider areas. They were working the ball about better. Then Martin O'Neill makes his two maybe final subs, trying to push towards getting that winning goal. Kieran Tierney comes off again for Marcelo Sarachi, who obviously, as we'll go on to, plays a big part in the second goal. And then Callum Osmond, who was the one change to the squad from the game at Fir Park Rail, Hatate dropping out, and possibly no further part he'll play at the football club. Unfortunately, that was he doesn't get the send off at Celtic Park. Possibly play a part in the cup final. We'll see. But I thought Callum Osmond as well was excellent when he came on. He gave Hearts something different to think about. His speed, his intensity, and he looked really sharp for a guy playing his first minutes in months.
Stay fit. He's going to be a player for the future. I mean, he looked really good before he got injured. He's come back. He's looked pretty good again. So if he can stay fit, he's definitely going to be a player for the future for Celtic.
Yeah, certainly that. And obviously, he, like Marcelo Sarachi, plays his part in the goal. Sarachi is brilliant. He brings it all the way out from the back, plays a couple of 1-2s, gets the ball again, plays a really nice ball down the left channel to Osmond. Plays it across to Daisamida, who's alive in the box, and rounds off a perfect post-split campaign for him. Scored in every split game, 8 goals in his last 6 games, and I don't know if you could have asked for more from him in this final stretch of the season.
Yeah, he's been absolutely tremendous. I mean, if he's playing for a move, I think the Celtic fans will forgive him because he's been incredible, and he's a man for the big occasion. I think he's shown. I've just got a quick question. See, for winning the league, do players get like a bonus?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. I imagine
I'm just
probably.
wondering if Sirachi can take his bonus and go to the barbers because I think he said he's a trim. He's going for the Tarzan look.
Yeah, his recent trim is wild. I'll give you that.
Yeah, so no, but he's one as well that I think has been good in the campaign. Obviously, Kieran Tierney's really, really good. He's the clear best left back, although certain person we know might not agree with that one. But but Sirachi's done a terrific job of the levels haven't when he's come on for Kieran Tierney, the levels haven't dropped like tremendously. Like it's not a big drop. He's just I'd say a level below. He's still a very, very good player, and I think he's done an excellent job in that role this season.
Yeah, he has done, and I think in some cases he's actually turned up the levels. Obviously, the natural fatigue, players getting into the later minutes of games, he's come on and been that fresh spark that sometimes Celtic need to go and win a game, and that's what it was on this occasion. I don't think Celtic will be able to hold on to him. I think he probably wants a guaranteed starting role, and you can't blame him for that. Obviously, the disappointment with this goal was that was wrongly ruled offside. A really poor decision from the linesman, in fact. But this is what VAR is here for. They get to the right decision in the end, and Celtic maybe not the ideal way to celebrate the winning goal. The fact that you're unsure if it's going to be given, but
That
eventually,
wasn't
of
the
course,
winning
given. And
goal.
I knew fine. Okay, well, we'll go back to this. But I knew fine well that it was going to get given because the Celtic bench were adamant. Obviously, looking at replays on the iPads, Gavin Strachan and co, and they knew that it was going to be given. And then the jubilation when Don Robertson points to the centre circle. And after the goal, Martin O'Neill made his final substitution, taking off Benjamin Negrin, who, as we've mentioned, and I think everyone's mentioned many times, is an off the ball passenger for large parts of the game. So brings Dane Murray on, goes back to a back four, obviously trying to protect the lead. And I thought Dane Murray won some big headers at the back as well, and he contributed. As I said, I thought all the Celtic subs were excellent. And then there was a series of yellow cards. Sirachi, Shankland, Maeda, and McGregor all picking them up in the final few minutes of injury time, as there was a few handbags in the game as well. And then the McGregor foul that got him the yellow card in the 97th minute led to a Hearts free kick and what looked to be a last chance to get an equaliser and win the league title at Celtic Park for the first time in 66 years. And what a disappointing ball into the box as Alex from Blair Spill. Really poor and really frustrating, probably for the Hearts fans in that situation.
Yeah, as it's a really, really poor ball. You just what you want there is just even the opportunity, just get it in the mixer, so it can bounce around, something can happen. No, it's shocking from Blair Spittle, not what we've come to expect of him, and obviously it leads to the crowning moment for the champions.
Yeah, and I think it was Cal McGregor who was the first man that Spittle didn't beat who wins the header. Then it falls to Cammy Devlin on the edge, and he's just closed down immediately by uh, two or three Celtic players. It's Kelechi Iheanacho who gets the tackle in. It falls for Cal McGregor, and then he sends Callum Osmond away, who walks it in from inside his own half
Yeah, I thought he
to
was going to dribble in.
mass.
I thought he was going to dribble into the net, but he didn't.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna waste the time and run out the clock so the full additional injury time could be played, and then there would be no controversy over games being replayed and whatever else. But obviously, it eventually hit the back of the net. He scored the goal, and I think he deserved that for his contribution. But I could have said that for almost all of the Celtic substitutes who come on. Kelechi Iheanacho had a excellent attempt that hit the post as well, but yeah, that was the crowning moment for Celtic, and then ensued chaos on the pitch. The substitutes from Celtic come on, the Celtic players run about, not knowing where to celebrate, and then the pitch invasion starts. The fans are on the pitch, and yeah, we get some unsavoury scenes. Would that be fair to say, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I do like a good pitch invasion, but I mean, the Hearts players were swarmed and people running up to them, celebrating in their faces and stuff like that. I think there was some pushing and shoving, Shankland trying to get people away from him, that kind of thing. But I feel like there's more of. I feel like there's kind of a big deal getting made out of it. I mean, I don't think anyone was hurt. Obviously, some poor um, displays of behaviour from certain fans, but most of them were on just trying to, find the Celtic players and enjoy the win. And, I think most of it was just enjoying the league title win. But unfortunately, there's a select few bad apples in the bunch, as always.
Yeah, and that's it. And when I seen the fans running onto the pitch, and you could have kind of predicted that it was going to happen. They kind of overflowed a little bit. Certainly where I was sitting when the second goal went in, and yeah, you worry being at the game that someone is going to do something really, really stupid. And obviously, I just don't understand why, when your club that you support's just won the league title, that your first instinct is to go and rub it in the faces of the opposition players. I don't really understand that, but people have got their own way of celebrating. And as we said, there's always going to be a few bad apples, and that's why pitch invasions can't be a thing, because uh, it's very easy for players to get hurt. And it looked, in fairness, that there was Celtic players that were also quite scared. I seen Callum Osmond coming off the pitch, and he looked quite, I don't know, shell shocked. Maybe just the moment of scoring that big goal for Celtic. But yeah, obviously it ruins it a little bit, especially for Hearts, who feel like they're not safe enough. In their statement, they said that they didn't feel along the lines of that they wanted to get out of the building immediately because they didn't feel sort of welcomed or safe in Celtic Park, and that's very unfortunate because the Hearts players deserve to get an ovation from certainly the Hearts fans, and dare I say, there might have been even some Celtic fans giving them ovation, because what they've contributed to Scottish football this season has been nothing short of miraculous. And to fall at the final hurdle, I don't think me or you will ever, as Celtic and Rangers fans, can imagine the pain that the Hearts fans and Hearts players are going through, Alex.
I can imagine the pain.
How can you imagine the pain?
Because I've been going through pain, that
Yeah,
pain my
but
whole
it's not the same. It's not the
life.
same
No,
though, is it?
my experience of Rangers, my time supporting Rangers, like properly, like knowing what's going on, I've only ever seen them win 3 major trophies. I know the pain. Don't.
No, I don't think it's the same. It's not the same.
How is it not
You
the
you
same?
can't compare the pain of Rangers as previously the most successful club in the country. And I know in our lifetimes it's not been the same story, but you will always know that Rangers are always going to, very likely, very, very likely, are going to win another league title in your lifetime. You can't say the same for Hearts, and we
Yeah, I've
hope.
already, I've already got them for next season.
We'll see when that comes around, but you don't know that if that's ever going to come again for a Hearts supporter, and that's why, even though Celtic won it, and that, of course, at the ground, delighted, you do feel a little bit for those players and those fans, because I feel as a Celtic fan, I could never put myself in those shoes. But that doesn't take anything away from what Celtic done, and why it should be celebrated. Of course, this game was tuned in to by millions across the world, and it was an excellent moment for Scottish football to get lots of eyes on Scottish football. And of course, the majority of people in Scotland and the world wanted Hearts to win to complete the fairy tale storyline, like Leicester City winning the English Premier League a decade ago now. But that doesn't mean that the Celtic fans can't celebrate like they did. I've seen a lot of people, the celebration police were out. Celtic have won the league 14 times in the last 15 seasons. Why are they celebrating like this? Because Celtic never thought they were going to win the league. Everyone wrote Celtic off, including Celtic fans. But they still, as you spoke about, they still managed to get it over the line, and that's what matters. But as I said, take nothing away from Hearts. I think I've got more points to make on this, but yeah,
No, I agree. Yeah, I don't really know what else to sort of add to that, but
yeah, no, no. I was going to what else was I going to say? I've got my points here. I was going to say I thought Don Robertson in the middle, after a really, I don't know, disappointing week for referees in this country. Obviously, what John Beaton had to go through is nothing short of ridiculous, and yeah, I think that whole decision was blown completely out of proportion. I know that obviously had effect in where the title goes come the end of the season. But I don't think the media have helped contribute to the abuse that John Beaton's had to go through. And yeah, I think it's been a really disappointing end in that way to what's been an excellent season, Alex.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if blown out proportions the right phrase, because the more I've seen more on it, I'm actually baffled even more that it was even given as a penalty. But um,
You're
yeah,
right, okay, but you can disagree with the decision, but the fact that a lot of people, and yes, you can say most of them are Celtic or Hibs fans, think it's a penalty, means that it's not such a out of the realms of possibility
oh
that it
my
deserves
god! Okay.
the
Literally
outcry that it's
anyone,
got.
literally anyone who everyone and who doesn't really have a horse in the race has said. It was
But no, but everyone does. This is where it's getting
no. But
missed. Everyone does have a horse in the race.
no. But they don't know. English people, I've
They
seen
do.
talking about it. American people, I've seen. Literally, there was you know like James Alcott and Flav and all that. They were speaking about it,
Yeah.
and Flav was saying, "Oh yeah, those footballs where if you punch them, they can go 100 yards, that type of thing." People are thinking that people think it's a ridiculous decision. Um, Obviously, a separate issue. The fact that John Beaton has had to spend time under police surveillance for fear for him and his family is absolutely I don't know. I don't know. I've got the words to describe it. Deplorable, unbelievable, despicable. It's shocking. It really is, and he's just doing his job at the end of the day. Whether he's doing it correctly, that's up for debate, and we're allowed to debate that. But it should never be personal. Um, can you imagine, like me and you, Ethan, we work retail. Can you imagine, like we like stock the shelves wrong, or do something, to like or like give a customer the wrong thing, or something like that, and and then they're giving us like death threats and stuff like that. It's stupid, and just because he's in a public facing job with a lot of eyes on it, a lot of people throw themselves into football. They make football their life, which I think is unhealthy. Um, you know, it's the only thing that matters.
That's us saying that we had a podcast on football.
Yeah, no, but we've got other things like
Give me a second.
obviously we
Get what
support
you're
our,
saying. No, no, I'm joking. I'm joking around. I get what you're saying.
yeah, we
Totally agree with
support our teams. We talk about football. We love it, but we've got other things that bring us like happiness that that we enjoy doing and stuff like that. And then there's these people that are they're just all consumed by it. They go to bed with their Celtic pajamas or their Rangers pajamas. They've named their son like Gaza or something like that. Is it just goes to a point of obsession where it's absolutely mental. And then John Beaton, I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to try and move leagues or even stop refereeing because of this, because it's you know if he has to live in a scenario where he could be putting his family in danger simply because of the job he does, it's disgusting. It's awful.
Yeah, exactly that, and I completely agree with what you said there. And by the same token, that we are saying that some people have make football too much of their lives in this country. That's what makes the Scottish football so great in the same sense. But there is always people that do take it too far, unfortunately. And yeah, but I just thought that the I thought the outcry was a little bit over the top, and
Of course you
you
did.
no, no, okay, but this is, do you think that do you think it would be the same reaction to the decision if Hearts were awarded the same decision?
No, probably not. No, but
Yeah, so that's my point about that. You say that the people have not got a horse in the race, and in terms of week to week interest, of course they've not, but everyone that's not of a Celtic fan or Hibs fan persuasion wants Hearts to win the league, and of course they do. I completely understand that because it would have been an excellent story, and it still is an excellent story. It's an
I think the
excellent thing that Derek
tragic
McInnes.
fact though that it was a wrong decision and it's genuinely it's prevented Hearts from potentially winning this league title.
Yes, but that is because it's the immediacy of it. There was a decision a couple games ago, and I know Celtic have. I'm not saying Celtic haven't had the rub of the green when it comes to the decisions in these last three games, because they certainly have done. But if you go back to even the Hibs game, Hibs were awarded a goal that Joe Newell brought down with his arm, and then when Celtic were looking for a winner, they were denied a clear penalty. So I think these things I would like to say, although they shouldn't, that some of the errors that we've had this season shouldn't have taken place with the VAR. You would like to think these things balance out across the season. Yeah, I just want to give Celtic their due credit because this team, by far, not by far and away, not the best Celtic team that we've seen in our lifetimes. But this Celtic team were the first ones to win all five post-split fixtures, and I think Callum McGregor and Kieran Tierney, James Forrest possibly as well, said that this was the best mentality they had seen of a Celtic squad, and that this was the most joyful title that they had won. So that says a lot, and yeah, a big moment for Celtic, which obviously I think gets lost in it all, and understandably so, because it would have been excellent to see Hearts win the league and disrupt the dominance of Celtic and Rangers for decades. But yeah, credit to Celtic and what they've done. And it begs the question now: do you think Martin O'Neill will be still in the dugout next season, Alex?
No,
No.
I think he just looked exhausted, didn't he?
Yeah.
He looked like, oh, thank God the job is done, you know. So I'd be very surprised if we saw him in the dugout this season. I mean, he's next season. Sorry, he's been very very good, and he's brought Celtic another league title. But I just feel like he's kind of come in and he's been like, okay, if I have to, and he's done it for the club that he loves. But he just looked exhausted to me. When that final whistle went, people were hugging him and stuff, and he was going, Um, so I feel like maybe it's time for Martin O'Neill to kick his feet up. But in the same breath, I wouldn't rule it out either.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I
but
would agree with that.
yeah, I feel like I feel like he wants an actual retirement now. But I can't speak to the psyche of Martin O'Neill, but just from the way he looked like he was just relieved that they got it done and over the line.
Yeah, and oldest manager to win the Scottish League at his age, 73, I believe. And he also recorded the highest league win rate percentage of any manager in Scottish history in a season, I believe. So, an excellent statistic for him. Some excellent statistics for Celtic as a whole to win the 56th league title. And James
Yes,
Forrest.
the highest win rate percentage.
Yeah, for any manager. It says here Martin O'Neill records highest league win rate percentage of any manager.
Higher than Brendan Rodgers and Steven Gerrard during their invincible seasons.
Yeah, well, how many games did Martin O'Neill not win across his two spells? Wasn't very many, was it?
Don't think so. No,
That's
no.
what it says here. Maybe that's unreliable and it's wrong. Because this one I think has been proven wrong. James Forrest being the first player in Britain to win 14 league titles. I think someone said on an Anthony Joseph post that was wrong, and someone else had already done it. But James Forrest certainly ties the record, moving to
Paul
27 major honours as well.
Paul Scholes
What
has something close to that, does he not?
what is it?
Paul Scholes has something close to that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, possibly. and what was the other one? Daisa Maeda becomes just the second player in history, apparently, to score in all five post-split games in the top half. So another remarkable achievement by him. And I think I forgot to mention that Elliot was speaking to the Japanese press and said that he wants a move away, ideally, to the Premier League. And I think that would be interesting seeing him in the Premier League. Is he good enough? I think we'll
I think
see.
he's certainly got the physical attributes.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's got the physical attributes to play in any league, any sport, maybe. No, but of course, an excellent athlete. But sometimes his technical ability leaves a little bit to be desired. But no, he'll certainly get a good move, I think, off this form. But I think this is everything from this game. It's hard to sort of encapsulate everything. I think we'll maybe give a sort of broader looking at every club's season, maybe after the Scottish Cup final, and really go into the depths of what Hearts have achieved this season. Because although it'll be raw and it'll be difficult at this moment, what they've done is nothing short of excellent, and they should take the credit that's given to them. I think I seen the Hearts enthusiast or Graham Duffy, good sort of mate of me and Alex's through podcasts. I've seen some of his TikToks and I'm on BBC Sports Sound over the weekend, and some of his comments are excellent. So yeah, go and give that a listen. But no, excellent achievement from Hearts, and I think we're ready to. What do you want to move on to their city rivals first of all at Easter Road?
Yeah, yeah, we can do that. Congratulations, Celtic, on another league title. Uh,
Oh, he's became the bigger man. He's became the bigger man.
so yeah, we'll move on now to Easter Road.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah.
Do you want me to take the reins now, Ethan?
Yeah. If you want to take over, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty cut and dry, I'd say. Motherwell with a 1-0 win, securing European football. They're going on a European tour, the Steelmen, tremendous for them, fourth place position. They scored the only goal of the game. Well, they scored another goal, but it was ruled out for a foul on Raf Salinger. I thought it was a bit soft, but just did have a hold of him, so I thought it was a foul. But yeah, Lucas Fadinger scored
Yeah. Just about a foul.
That'll do it for today's episode
Yeah.
of the Dugout Podcast.
Yeah. That's the pay I need to go through every time you make an Eliza Just joke, but
My partner's
there's
just
been
clear of
plenty of them
it.
this
My
season,
partner's
so
just
I think we'll just leave them there for the season.
right. Wrap at you. Lucas Fadinger scored the opening goal in
Oh,
the 35th minute. Bit of a, I don't know, kind of pinball situation for him to get the shot off. He does eventually, and it's deflected under the leg, I think, of the Hibs, or just of the Hibs defender. It kind of takes it away from Salinger. On first viewing, it looks like a cracking finish, but then you look at it and it's a deflection that actually takes it off course. Um, and it is 1-0 to Motherwell.
sorry,
Obviously,
sorry, Alex. I've got to say though, awful defending from Jamie McGrath. We've been ones to give him a lot of props for his performance this season, but his challenge on the edge of the box just isn't good enough. And yeah, obviously allows Fadinger to get the shot away, and it's a good enough strike. Good luck from Reagan Charles Cook down the line as well.
yeah, there was a really nice passage of play as well between Cook, Justin, Maswanisi in the second half, and I think Maswanisi probably should have finished it because that would have been a terrific goal. But obviously Motherwell score that second goal, but it is ruled out. And then Elliot Watt is sent off for a second yellow in the 67th minute. Um, uh, Elliot Watt, obviously has been tremendous this season, but he caps off the Premiership with a red card. Ethan, what did you make of the second yellow?
I thought it was quite soft. I don't know. I don't know. It's in a sort of nothing bit of the patch. I know he's late, but I don't know if that needs to be a yellow card. But um, Nick Walsh it was who gave it, and fair enough, you know. But I just thought it was a little bit soft. But credit to Motherwell, they held on with 10 men
It's
for
fine,
a
thanks.
great result and won with. Oh no! Oh no!
Had to get it in there after you.
Uh, Yeah, after my terrible patter. Yeah, a great result for Motherwell, and what caps off, I think, a deserved fourth place finish. You know, it was in doubt, but I think maybe one of the reasons why Motherwell haven't been as great recently is maybe because of chances like Tawanda Maswinise is not hitting the back of the net. He's obviously not been in the red hot form he was earlier in the season, but yeah, that would have been an excellent goal. But I think Motherwell were deserving winners on the day, and Jens Berthel, what an excellent job he's done, and maybe he will be the next Celtic manager. Although, of course, linked with a move to Toulouse in the week.
Oh yeah, he was. Although he does like to win that Jens Berthelskis. I don't know if he'd want to go there. I think I made this joke last week. But yeah, very, very good season for Motherwell, capped off with a deserving position for European football. To be honest, I really don't want him to go because I want to see what he can do with them in Europe. I feel like he could take them into the competition and they could do quite well, but unfortunately, it seems like he might depart.
Yeah, and I was listening to BBC Sports Sound on the way back from the game on Saturday, and Andy Halliday was on, and he was saying that he can speak more openly now about Motherwell, as obviously he's retired now, and he was saying that from a selfish point of view, he wants Jens Berthel to stay in the division, but he's not too sure about if he wants somebody to go to Celtic, of course, as a former Rangers player and a Rangers fan, so. Yeah, but he's been a breath of fresh air to the league, and I think along with the sort of revolution that Tony Bloom and Derek McInnes have built at Hearts this season, Motherwell have really contributed to giving teams the confidence that Celtic and Rangers can be got at. You can play good football against them and beat them and deserve to beat them as Motherwell have shown this season. Obviously disappointing for Hibs on the final day, but they got to celebrate something at least. The fact that Hearts didn't win the league, and I think Motherwell were with Hearts' side and Hibs were with Celtic's side at Easter Road, and at least Hibs, unlike as I said with Hearts, they got to send off their players and give them an ovation for their contributions this season, albeit not being as good as last season in that third place finish. And some really good news for Hibs, and news that I'm delighted to hear that Martin Boyle is staying on for another season. And obviously a Hibs legend and a player that I think growing up watching Scottish football, he's been there for a lot of that time. So yeah, excellent to see him penned down for another season. Although Alex is shaking his head.
Wind up merchant. Oh no, he's a terrific player, and he's I guess you could say, I don't know, would you call him a legend? Would you call him a cult hero?
I call him a Hibs legend. He's scored over 100 goals for Hibs. I think he's got to be a legend. Got a hat trick against Rangers in the what was that? The League Cup semi final was that?
Oh yeah, forgot about that one.
Yeah.
uh,
And sorry, just the last thing probably on this game, I was going to say maybe bad news or good news, whatever way you want to look at it, for Scotland squad announcement that Grant Hanley, well, no, I think he picked up an injury. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, that's not good.
no,
Uh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Oh, we're
Because
joking.
No, yeah, Grant Hanley came off. Grant Hanley came off injured after the hour mark. After he came on, actually, in fact, in the 16th minute for Rocky Bashiri, who picked up an injury. So really unfortunate for both of them because I think they both would have had great chances of going to the World Cup. Obviously, Bashiri with DR Congo, and now maybe those chances are in
Yeah,
doubt.
I just want to apologise. That was really not tasteful from me there. It was a light-hearted joke, obviously, but if Grant Hanley is injured and he can't make it to the World Cup, it's catastrophic for him. I mean, he was
And I think
essential in qualifying as well. He was excellent, especially in the away game against Denmark. I feel like he gets a bit of a bad reputation because of that mistake against Poland. Um, but I actually do rate Grant Hanley. I think the majority of his performances in a Scotland jersey have been very good.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with a lot of what you said. And no matter whether you think he should start in Steve Clarke's team for that first game against Haiti, he was a big part of getting us there. And I think off that, he deserves to be on the plane. Played excellent in that last game against Denmark as well. So hopefully he makes a full recovery and can be part of the squad in some capacity because we always say about how Steve Clarke, and we're probably stealing a bit of our conversation for tomorrow. So you know what, I'm not gonna say anymore. If you want to hear our thoughts on the Scotland squad and who should be in and whatever, you
Go
can
to our
watch the video
Patreon.
tomorrow. What?
Go to our Patreon, just $5.99 a month, less than the price of a doner kebab. Uh, no,
No, just go and watch our video, which should be out on Tuesday, discussing the Scotland squad, and hopefully a few surprises in there. But I think me and Alex are doubtful.
okay, so moving on now to the Falkirk Stadium where they played Rangers. Rangers coming off of 4 losses in a row, needing a win to finish the season, and they did just that. They opened the scoring 2 minutes into the game. Yusuf Chermiti slipped into the box down the sort of left channel, and he just slides it past Nicky Hogarth with the outside of his right foot for for 1-0. They doubled their advantage just 4 minutes later. And by the way, this is another cracker from Yusuf Chermiti. The ball sort of, up in the air, just on the edge of the area, on the left-hand side. Chermiti chests it down and volleys it into the top corner for 2-0. Absolutely tremendous finish from the big man. Jack Butland got involved though, just under a minute later. A horrendous own goal from Rangers. Calvin Miller pressing to Romans and left back, plays it back to Butland, and Butland just lets it slip under his feet. Falkirk pulled it back to. Sorry, Rangers went 3-1 in front, through Diede Gassama. Yusuf Chermiti played a nice pass in. Gassama took it on the spin, put it past Nicky Hogarth for 3-1. Falkirk were then awarded a penalty, a handball. Pretty unfortunate, but it was a handball, so it is a. Why are you pulling a face?
No, I think you're being quite. I don't know. I don't think it should have been a penalty. This one, I think it's really harsh. On it was Aaron's, wasn't it?
I thought it might. I don't really know. It was either. I thought it was Diamandi. I don't know. But
Yeah, you might be right. Actually, yeah, maybe it was Mohamed Diamandi at that post. But yeah, I thought it was really, really unfortunate and really harsh. But handballs, as we've seen in the last week in multiple leagues, the ruling's crazy at the minute. So yeah, obviously Falkirk
well,
take full advantage of it.
you're saying it's harsh. If Nicholson's incident is a penalty, this is definitely a penalty. So
Well, yeah, but the difference is whoever Diamande or Aaron's arm isn't up near their face. So that's the difference, really.
Okay.
Like it's not there,
Right,
it's
right,
down.
okay, fine. Let's. Calvin Miller dispatches the penalty for 3-2. Um, just after half time, Yusuf Chermiti bags his hat trick. Nice cross from Tour Romans, a big towering header from Chermiti getting his hat trick. And then in the Rangers make it 5 through Telo Asgard. Rangers are awarded a penalty for a shove in the back on Yusuf Chermiti. I thought this one was a wee bit harsh, but probably a penalty in the end. And Rangers win 5-2. Another thrilling game at the Falkirk Stadium. Not quite 6-3, but it was close enough. And just a wee fact about Yusuf Chermiti from Scotland's coefficient. Yusuf Chermiti becomes the first player to score 2 league hat-tricks in the same season since Lawrence Shankland in 22-23. The only other Rangers players to do it this century are Jermaine Defoe in 2019-20, Kenny Miller in 2010-11, and Chris Boyd in 2008-9 and 2006-7. So Boyd doing it in 2 separate occasions. But yeah, Chermiti writing himself into the history books with that hat trick there. But yeah, pretty decent win for Rangers, and I'd say much needed.
Yeah, much needed, exactly. And to score 5 goals is always good, and to get a win as well, it couldn't really have went better, I don't think. In that game specifically for Rangers on the day, and obviously they get to give the players a sort of ovation at the end, if you want to call it that. Obviously supporting the team until the end, and Mikey Moore getting a special sort of send off. I think one more year was the cry from the Rangers fans, and you've obviously
Danny Rowe actually said they were working to bring him in.
yeah, well, you would think they were, but I don't know if that's going to be a possibility. Although it does look increasingly likely that Tottenham Hotspur will be a Premier League club next season after West Ham being defeated pretty easily at St James's Park last night. So yeah, there's always a chance, and he seems like he's loved his time at Rangers. He spoke really well and openly about the dressing room and the sort of mentality issues and the press conference on Friday. So yeah, he seems like a sensible and mature player for one of his age, and I think he will go right to the top. Whether that'll be any more so at Rangers is another question. And I know you, like almost any other Rangers fans, would like to see that happen, but obviously we'll see the possibilities of that.
The dream's a permanent move for him, but I don't see that happening.
No, I don't think
Unfortunately,
that's going to happen. And Yusuf Chermiti, to speak on him, I think he has shown in moments this season that why Rangers bought him for that fee. I think if he was tied up his finishing a little bit, he could score a ridiculous amount of goals for Rangers. As I said, the game at Celtic Park in the opening stages, I thought he was absolutely excellent, and obviously played a big part in Mikey Moore's goal as well. So yeah, and the other maybe interesting point on Rangers that we've learned was the full sort of details from James Tavernier's side on the not getting the proper send off issue. You obviously seen Yedi Gassama, like Martin Boyle during the week, which we mentioned, using James Tavernier's celebration after he scored. So from James Tavernier's side, if you're taking that in complete isolation, it does look really poor for Danny Rowe, but I think you obviously need to take these things with a pinch of salt, don't you, Alex?
yeah, absolutely. The way he spun it is Danny Rose just pulled the rug out from underneath him on the match day, which I don't know. I don't see that to be the case. I mean, um, obviously, the manager needs to make his own decisions. I think Tavernier would have got a substantial amount of time as well. So Yeah, I don't think it really matters, to be honest, in the grand scheme of things, because he's Tavernier's gone now. Danny Rowe's still the manager. So we need to back the manager now and see what comes in the future. I mean, obviously, if it has transpired that way, it's quite poor, but I don't think it really. Yeah, like I said, doesn't really matter anymore. James Tavernier is no longer a Rangers player, so I don't really not that bothered.
Yeah, no, and I think you see in Rangers' performance that they aren't down in tools for the manager. I think if they had drawn this game or lost this game, you could have made that case. But the fact they score 5 goals and end the season with a win after a difficult run, despite Gassama's celebration, he's probably just shown respect to the captain and his career at Rangers and the unfortunate probably disagreements that have happened behind the scenes. But that doesn't mean that supporting the captain and the manager can't coexist for the Rangers players. So, yeah, obviously, big summer ahead for Rangers, who they're going to keep, who they're going to sell, who they're going to bring in, and really exciting developments for Falkirk in the future, which we'll probably speak more on in the next episode after the Scottish Cup when we have a little bit more time out with everything that's happened this weekend. Calvin Miller with another goal. Goals have kind of dried up for him though in the post split fixtures, and I think as we spoke about before the recording, and we'll get on to, I think Finlay Curtis has done enough to probably keep his place in the squad. So maybe
Don't
just a
count
little bit too late
yourself
for Calvin Miller, but excellent season.
player of Calvin Miller.
I
Miles.
don't know. It's certainly a debate. It's certainly a debate to be had now. But I think earlier in the season I would have took Calvin Miller in a heartbeat. But Finlay Curtis has been on a excellent run recently, as have Kilmarnock.
Yeah, they have. And they capped off their season with a thumping 4-1 win over Livingston. However, Livingston did open the scoring. Stevie May, and they did. um, he scored in the 19th minute. Nice finish from Stevie May. However, the lead didn't last long. Joe Hugo with kind of a, guess you could say, falling finish in the 24th minute to equalise. A really nice goal from Nicky Klashenko in the 34th to make it 2-1. A terrific bit of play from him as well in the second half, teeing up Dominic Thompson, who then played it into Finlay Curtis, who scored to make it 3-1. And then a bit of mess at the back from Livingston, a through ball just dealt with so weakly. And Joe Hugo latches onto it and makes it 4. And Neil McCann and co cap off a tremendous 4-game winning run at the end of the season, scoring. Let me do my maths real quick. 13 goals in that time, in those 4 games. So only conceding twice. Absolutely terrific.
Yeah, the future looks really bright for Kilmarnock under Neil McCann, and I think there probably is a buzz around the club at the minute as to what looked like it was going to be possibly a really sour end going into the playoffs. They now finished the season 6 points ahead of St Mirren and an excellent run to the end of the season. And if I was a Kilmarnock fan, I would be really excited for what's on the horizon. They've got some really excellent players. I know the likes of Finlay Curtis aren't going to be there most likely like next season, but they've got Joe Hugo, who's been absolutely excellent. Nicky Klashenko as well, who hasn't played the most, the biggest part, but he looked really bright in the 2 goals that he was involved in. Even Dominic Thompson, who's not been a fan favourite at Rugby Park, grabbing a couple of assists as well. So everything's going really well for Kilmarnock at the minute. And if I had to get an early, maybe surprise team in the top 6, then maybe it will be Kilmarnock to return to where they have been a fair few times in recent seasons. Because Neil McCann seems to have got those players really up for the challenge. Although it's all well and good saying that, but obviously at the start of next season, you're not going to be playing relegation candidates and bottom six sides every week, so that's where it becomes difficult. But it's certainly a platform to build on for next season. And for Livingston, a little bit of a disappointing end, but the stadium was virtually empty. There didn't look many Livingston fans at all. It looked mostly Kilmarnock fans in the stadium, despite it being a away game. But yeah, we'll see if Scott Arfield gets the job. I believe Livingston have set the deadline for their managerial application, so we'll see who leads them through the championship campaign, or certainly the start of it when it comes.
Not being funny, but who wants to apply to that?
Should we apply for it?
Well, yeah, we're needing jobs, so maybe we should. Me and you on the coaching staff.
Who's the manager? Am I the manager? You're the assistant.
I reckon I'd be the manager. I've got the biggest personality. It'd be like
Right. Okay. I'd be the Sean Maloney to your Martin O'Neill then.
Don't compare.
I'd be the brains behind the operation.
Don't compare me to Martin O'Neill. But you'd.
Yeah, that's disrespectful to Martin. Sorry, Martin.
No, but you would be the brains of the operation, I reckon, and I'd be the big personality screaming at the players on the pitch. So yeah, no, I think we should. Livingston, this is our video application for the managerial position. We have extensive experience of talking about football and analysing it extremely well over the past few years. So give us a call. We're the best candidates for the job. Me and my assistant, Ethan Barlow. But moving on from Livingston, we will. I will go to Dens, where a thrilling game occurred. A 3-2 victory for Stephen Presley's Dundee to cap off the season. Dre Wright with the opening goal. In the 10th minute. Thought he might have injured himself in the process, but turns out he was okay. Ball sort of played across. He gets there first in front of the Aberdeen defender. He is taken out in the process of scoring, but Dre Wright's okay, and they're up. They're up 1-0, 10 minutes in. However, Liam Morrison is left in acres of space in a 23rd minute. A corner delivered from former Dundee player Lyle Cameron, who was getting booed as he was taking it. He plays it across, and Liam Morrison heads it in for one each. And then this is...
Yeah, sorry, Alex. I was just going to say on this goal, you touched on it, but you know how when we say free header, I think this might have been the freest header I've ever seen from a corner. I don't know what Aberdeen were doing. I know Max Canister goes off after the sort of collision with Dre Wright. Unfortunately, Dre Wright was okay to continue. Not the case for Canister as Nicky Devlin comes on, but well, not actually. Yeah, that's completely wrong because it was Aberdeen that scored the goal. Ignore me. But I don't know what Dundee were doing. They just left them unmarked. It's a good ball from Lyle Cameron, good header from the former Bayern Munich central defender. I don't know if you've seen, Alex, that was it Sterling and Albion that signed a former Bayern Munich player as well in the week. So yeah, crazy world of football.
Imagine playing at Bayern Munich and you end up in Sterling Albion. That is some fall for grace. Oh my god. But yeah, unlucky at that guy. But Aberdeen took the lead in the 51st, or I guess you could say 6th minute of injury time, through Toyosi Olasanya. This was a dreadful goal. It was. There's no other way to describe it. Just deflected all the way. Good reaction from Olasanya, but awful goal from Aberdeen.
Was it a Lyle Cameron shot that was deflected that Olasanya got an end of? I think.
Yeah.
But that's been the sort of attacking instinct that he's lacked since going to Aberdeen. He obviously broke his goal duck recently, getting off the mark for the Dons, and now he's got another one. So that was good. Not sure about the celebration though, but he can be a problem for opposition defences next season if Stephen Robinson wants to keep a hold of it. His old player who obviously worked with at St Mirren.
Yeah, definitely. Just after half time, well, not just after, 15 minutes after half time, Joe Wesley equalised. He's been pretty good this campaign. 21 years old for Dundee. That was his fourth goal of the season. I feel like he's been involved more than that, but hey ho, he gets the equaliser in the 61st minute, and then Ryan Ashley gives Dundee the win in the 90th minute. And Aberdeen in their campaign with back-to-back losses, and Dundee end their campaign on a high note.
Yeah, exactly that. And Dundee obviously leapfrog Aberdeen so that the two Dundee clubs top the bottom six, and Aberdeen fall to ninth, which obviously isn't a great finish, but we knew it wasn't going to be a great finish and one that Aberdeen fans expect as soon as they were in the bottom six. So, Stephen Robinson's got a lot of work to do. I think there's going to be a big squad turnover this season, but he's shown in the past he's capable of getting
You know what he's
a
just
tune
going
out
to
of
do?
teams in Scotland.
You know what he's just going to do? He did it when he went from, when he left Motherwell and went to St Mirren. He's just going to sign all the St Mirren boys.
But is he though? Because it was a sort of a little bit of a sour end to his St Mirren tenure, where it wasn't really the case when he left Motherwell, was it? Because I think he just left Motherwell because he got unless I'm mistaken, he got the job down south, which obviously didn't work too well for him, and why he's back up here. But I don't know what players would he take from St Mirren. Do you think anyone in particular that
O'Hara,
comes to mind?
Mark
Yeah,
O'Hara,
possibly.
Miguel Freckleton. That's
Is he a St Mirren player? Is he on loan?
I'm sure he is.
I mean, they could probably get him Aberdeen if he is on loan from. I think it was Sheffield
No, he
United
is
he was at
he is a
previously.
St Mirren player.
Uh, was he? Okay.
Yeah. Never played a game for Sheffield.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, I think he certainly could because they fit the archetype of how he has played and how he probably wants to play at Aberdeen. Whether the the Dons will be happy, the Dons supporters will be happy with that way of playing. We'll see next season, but if it brings them better results than they've had recently, I think they should be happy with it because Aberdeen have been what I would call a sleeping giant in recent years. Really not up to the standards of where that football club should be, and I think they need to strive for a lot better in the coming season.
yeah, absolutely. So the last game, and the last time we'll review a game of this campaign in the Premiership, obviously Scottish Cup coming up. The last time we'll review a game this season from the Scottish Premiership, St Mirren 1, Dundee United 1. Zachary Sapsford opened the scoring in the 27th minute. Some ingenuity in the finish, a nice finish from him. He didn't make the World Cup squad though, did he? Unfortunately, so because I'm pretty sure that the Australia World Cup squad was released.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Did Martin Boyle get into it?
I don't know. I saw someone else made it. But yeah, Satsford opened the scoring. He's been hot and cold this campaign, Ethan.
Yeah, he has been. He showed at times that he's a talented striker, and you can see why Dundee United picked him up and brought him from um, the other side of the world. And it's a really sort of smart finish. Good play from Waters. So I think in periods has shown as well that he's a decent player. I think it's just been a lack of consistency for United, a little bit less consistent than they were last season to get into European places. But as I said, I think Jim Goodwin's done a decent job, because he's got them promoted to the Premiership, got a European finish, and okay, they didn't finish top six this season, but it was a very competitive league, and the opportunity to go again for Jim Goodwin. I don't know if you've seen it, but did you see the goal that St Mirren nearly scored to open the scoring that was offside?
No.
Dave Richards had an absolute howler, and Luke Douglas, the
By the way,
16-year-old.
I'm just checking. The Australia World Cup squad hasn't been announced, so I don't know where I got that from.
Oh, right, okay. It was Luke Douglas, the 16-year-old, getting his first start for St Mirren. That it was a pretty tame shot on target. Dave Richards let it spill under him, but it was offside. And there was a few. There was Keir, I think it is, Gilligan or Gilligan, on the left, the 17-year-old for United as well. So, this is what we like to see more of. And I think it's easy for these teams to put in these players now when there's nothing at stake in the game. But that's why people have always been open to the idea of expanding the league to more teams, because they would get more sort of mid-table, meaningless matches that mean that our youth players are on display more often. But yeah, sorry, I just thought I'd make that point.
Yeah, good for you. Uh, um, so St Mirren did equalise through Jake Young in the 69th minute, and yeah, they end the Premiership campaign with a boring one each draw, and they'll be looking to um, improve their form, St Mirren, because they will need to win if they want to stay in the Scottish Premiership.
Yeah, exactly that. And they play Partick Thistle on Thursday in the first leg, at Firhill, and then the second leg at St Mirren Park a week today. So that's obviously the last big playoff uh, sort of game to be decided. I think all the rest have been. Alex's Hamilton managing to stay in League One.
What a
Um,
game, by the way.
so yeah. Yeah, I know it was an excellent tie. And credit to them and all the other teams to have successes in either the promotion or trying to
21,
stay in the
21
leagues.
points deducted, and they still can't get us down. Come on, the Hamilton Ackies.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. And that was the same for Edinburgh City. Big points deduction in League Two, but as we spoke about, the way that um, promotion for the teams in the Highland and Lowland leagues designs just the odds are stacked against them, and Brother Rangers fell to that, unfortunately. So no changes to the what would be 42 teams in the Scottish um, professional leagues, or SPFL, whatever you want to call
Yeah, no changes. Another boring season.
it. No, it's been anything but that.
Another boring season of football from top to bottom. So yeah, I guess that does it. Oh, I was very close on my Old Firm prediction for the SWPL.
You were,
Very,
you weren't confident enough in Rangers
yeah.
for once.
It's all right. We'll be back next season. We're going to win the league. We're going to win the treble. We're going to win the Conference League because that's probably where we're going to be. So, I've
No,
never.
well, you could be in the Conference League if Dunfermline were to beat Celtic, and that's an interesting one. I'll ask you, Alex, as obviously a Rangers fan. It'd be interesting to hear more Rangers fans' opinion on this. Would you let Celtic win the Scottish Cup in order to get Europa League football instead of Conference League?
No, I want the firm when I win.
Right,
Uh,
Dunfermline to win, so Rangers go into Conference League. Okay, that's yeah. I think I think that
if
perfectly
Dunfermline win,
sums up
they get.
Scottish football.
What'd you say, Ethan?
I think that perfectly sums up how Scottish football works.
I don't know. No, it's not as cut and dry as I made it out to be. I mean, I'd like to be in the Europa League. although Rangers have never been in the Conference League before, so new experience, an opportunity to win a European trophy, perhaps.
I
Uh,
mean, Rangers could still be in the Conference League even if Celtic win the cup if they fail to get through the qualifiers. So still is a possibility either way. But yeah,
are Rangers in Conference League qualifiers, or are they automatic Conference League right now?
I think it's qualifiers. I think all the teams in Scotland need to play qualifiers. I believe I might be wrong on that, but
How the
we'll
mighty have
obviously.
fallen. Um,
What?
how the mighty have fallen. So
Yeah.
Are Celtic, sorry, are Hearts Europa League qualifiers then?
No, Hearts and Celtic are both Champions League.
How does that work?
I don't know, so that's just how it works.
Okay.
The
Well,
odds are stacked against both of them probably to get through. Hearts more than Celtic, I would say, because we've seen the league paths are really difficult. But I think we'll discuss all of this next week. We'll discuss the playoffs and the Scottish Cup final when it comes, and hopefully it's another entertaining spectacle to go with what has been a great Premiership season.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you to everyone for watching and listening. If you've tuned in throughout the campaign, we really appreciate it. Please stay with us over the summer. There will obviously be World Cup content to go over, transfers, all that sort of things. So we'll be looking forward to that. I think the transfer window is actually my favourite time. I just love all the rumours and stuff like that. But
I've picked that up. I've picked that up over the years, Alex. I think, yeah,
really,
you absolutely love that. Yeah, I enjoy it as well. I'm not going to try and say I'm as keen as you because I think the fairy tale and no, fairy tale is not the right word. The magic of the transfer window has been ruined by those journalists, those pesky journalists that break the news before the clubs do,
yeah.
and also the amount of journalists that sort of voice nonsense in the press that we see, especially when it comes to Celtic and Rangers. I mean, they
Should
must be
we
linked with
should we
hundreds of
start a
players
rumor?
each summer.
Should we
What
start?
is it?
Should we make a fake Twitter account and start a rumor about a player like a going to Rangers or Celtic? Should we do that and see if it picks up traction?
What about Mikey? Why don't we start Mikey Moore to Rangers?
Yeah, 15 million. Rangers have agreed to pay it. What do
I
you
think they
reckon?
would pay that.
I hope they would.
No, we don't do that here. We deal with the facts on this podcast.
And the fact is, Celtic bought the league once again. With their bribery.
No,
No,
don't say that. Don't
I
say
know.
that.
Allegedly,
You've done well.
it's all fake. It's all jokes. Don't come after me legally. None of what I said is true, um, or based in any sort of fact. But yeah, thank you to everyone for watching and listening. We'll see you next week for the Scottish Cup and the playoff final. Goodbye.